Coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios, this is Prime News on SABC 3. Here are your headlines. The anti-GBVF movement, Women for Change, is urging government to declare gender-based violence and femicide a national disaster. China has increased its tariffs against the US imports to 125% in retaliation after the US president's decision to increase duties on Chinese goods to 145%. The spate of crime in 4 provinces is alarming, and the areas have been identified as hotspots. Good evening. Breaking into the conversation, we're bringing you the latest developments. I am Becky Mutumomolete, your anchor for tonight's broadcast. Let's take a look at your top story. The anti-GBVF movement, Women for Change, is urging government to declare gender-based violence and femicide a national disaster. The organization staged a demonstration at the Union Buildings in Pretoria, where it handed over a petition with more than 150,000 signatures.
A significant change. Our stats are still rising. We're still rape capital of the world. You know, women are still dying every day. You know, our stats speak for themselves in essence. So no, not enough is being done. Absolutely not enough is being done. This is not the first time. We see it all the time on media, conversations about GBVF. There's been marches, there's been protests and multiple petitions being signed.
You know, a few years ago, the president labeled GBV as the second pandemic. It is the second pandemic. It's huge. It's so pervasive in our society, and I hope that it's just taken more seriously by government to put in mechanisms to ensure that systems actually work and that we can curb sexual violence.
Students who marched to the Orlando Magistrate Court in Soweto say the wheels of justice need to turn faster and courts must play a pivotal role in fighting gender-based violence. The group of protesters, led by the EFF Student Command, vowed not to be silent until justice is served on the perpetrator who allegedly raped a 7-year-old girl from Matatiele in the Eastern Cape.
This thing of 30-day memorandums, we're not going to play those games. We are young people, want our things to be done quickly and efficiently. So we'll be back here in 15 days, just to the date. So we'll be back 15 days to the date. We'll be back here with the reforms we're looking for, particularly the change of prosecutors here in this court. There is rampant corruption in this court. There is maladministration in this court. There's the justice that is being meted out in this court is unfortunately very unfair. So before we have another quick win, so we just want to stop it now with the prosecutions that are taking place here. So we are not happy. We'll be back in 15 days. Want to see changes in terms of the prosecution here at this court.
Calls for justice for a 7-year-old girl who was allegedly raped in Matatiele in the Eastern Cape are mounting. Various member churches of South African Council of Churches in partnership with the local municipality held a peaceful march in the town today.
It's been 6 months since the 7-year-old girl was allegedly raped, and still no arrest. The incident caused an enormous public outcry. This was the second march in Matatiele just this week.
Sisuswa inhlokomo eyenzeka apha kule ngingqi yase Alfred Nzo eyokureyithwa kwabantwana abancinane.
We are triggered by the incident of rape of little girls, although all eyes are fixed on the 7-year-old. There are also 2 others who have been raped in this same area, but there has been no arrests yet. That makes us devastated as women. So the Fellowship of Women in the Eastern Cape came up with the plan to hold a prayer, and they were joined by other groups.
We are very sad to see these incidents of GBV in Matatiele. We are praying today with different churches to say we must stop this thing of GBV and femicide in Matatiele.
Young people joined in, calling for the protection and respect of women and children. The low turnout among men was a point of concern for some.
The people who feel the pain of the rape of children is us women. This means that the men feel nothing because they did not come in their numbers. We wish they could show some sympathy and feel what we feel as women.
This issue of Matatiele is very bad. So we need everybody to stand up. Then we fight everything ends at Matatiele.
The head of the Family Violence, Child Protection and Sexual Offences Unit is overseeing the investigation. Fundiswa Mhlekude, SABC News, Matatiele.
The provinces of Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, Western Cape and Eastern Cape have their hands full in dealing with crime and will remain on the police radar. Police Minister Senzo Mchunu says the spate of crime in these four provinces is alarming and that the areas have been identified as hotspots.
The South African Police Service says it is ready to face criminals in four provinces head on.
There are four provinces which we classify as hotspots, and for that reason we're focusing on dealing decisively with crimes in these provinces, namely Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, Eastern Cape and Western Cape, while without losing any focus on others as well. Our top priorities are reducing murder, removing unnecessary firearms from communities, removing drugs, fighting GBVF,
improving the infrastructure of police stations and introducing body cameras this year are among some of the plans to help the police fight crime. For those questioning whether these changes which emerged at the policing summit will be implemented, this was the National Commissioner's answer.
The SAPS will establish a National Policing Summit, Summit 2025 Operations Room. This facility will be used as a permanent scoreboard where we will track and trace progress on the resolution of the summit periodically for the next 5 years.
The police department has also pinned some of its hopes on the private sector, saying its budget is insufficient to implement a few of the effective policing plans. Neria Hlakutsa, SABC News, Pretoria.
City Power has expressed frustration that its efforts to curb cable theft seem to be thwarted in some cases. This, as more suspects who were previously arrested for cable theft are being rearrested for the same offense.
A confined space with about 15 kilometers of high, medium, and low voltage cables, this underground substation tunnel has become home to a syndicate of heavily armed cable thieves. The gang, who uses manholes to access the tunnel, are said to be ruthless and trigger-happy. Armed guards with specialized skills are needed to secure these cables. More than 200 suspects have been arrested for cable theft since July last year. However, City Power says it seems to be fighting a losing battle.
It was really disappointing for us that we have, that was arrested in October 2024, was rearrested again this past weekend, basically recommitting the very same crime that he was arrested for.
The municipality has spent about 100 million rand on security in the past financial year. It also spends close to 1 billion rand annually to replace damaged equipment. Now allegations have surfaced that rogue elements within the SAPS are colluding with criminal syndicates.
What is worrying is that in his phone, when we checked the last dialed numbers, there appeared a phone that is identified as one belonging to one of the police officers. And our team suspect that this is one of the police officers that was tasked in investigating some of these things.
When contacted for comment, the South African Police Service, in a written reply, said they would not be granting interviews on this matter for now. Calls have been made for law enforcement agencies to collaborate with other entities like City Power to fight cable theft.
We have noted with concern the ongoing challenges related to cable theft and the resurfacing of people who were previously arrested. However, what is very crucial is that all the role players, that is law enforcement agencies, including City Power, should continue to work together to ensure that communities are protected from the impact of infrastructure-related crime.
The National Prosecuting Authority in Gauteng says it has requested the docket of the 55-year-old who was rearrested to look into the matter. Refido Mekwa, SABC News, Johannesburg.
China has increased its tariffs against the U.S. imports to 125%. It's retaliating after the U.S. President Donald Trump's decision to increase duties on Chinese goods to 145%.
Chinese President Xi Jinping says China and other countries should jointly oppose unilateral acts of bullying. He says the world's second largest economy will continue to uphold the global rules-based order.
We have always believed that the stable, healthy and sustainable development of China-US relations is in the fundamental interest of the two people. The essence of China-US economic and trade relations is mutually beneficial and win-win. Economic and trade frictions should properly be resolved through equal dialogue and consultation.
China has imposed 125% tariffs on United States goods from Saturday. This is up from 84% previously announced.
We're looking at 80% reduction if this if this tariff escalation between China and the US continues. It will result in an 80% reduction between China and US trade. And the ripple effect of that across the board can be catastrophic because so many countries, we're no longer in a world where you have one-way trade. We're talking about 40% of goods that move are intermediate goods, which means that everything along the supply chain is going to be impacted by the change in the trade relationship.
But Beijing says it's open for talks with the US and the dialogue must be conducted on an equal basis with mutual respect.
China's position is clear and consistent. The door to talks is open. China will stand by its position until the end. Pressuring, threatening and blackmailing are not the correct ways to deal with China.
Meanwhile, Chinese top diplomat Wang Yi says the US cannot act recklessly and the wheel of history cannot go backwards, referring to US tariffs on China. Kylie Kumalo, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Asian markets saw another day of volatility amid escalating trade tensions between the US and China, after the White House confirmed that it was imposing a whopping 145% tariff on Chinese goods. Beijing has also hit back with 125% import duties on American goods.
It's been a mixed day for Asian markets. For example, here in India, the benchmark index Sensex rose by 1.77%, but Japan's Nikkei fell 2.96%. South Korea's Kopsi also followed suit on Friday, dropping by about 0.5%, but Hong Kong's indices rebound marginally on the news of China's new tariffs. The Hang Seng index was up 1.13%, while China's CSI gained just under 0.5%. The varied performance of the Asian markets, analysts say, is a sign of how jumpy investors are across the region. Though much of the US tariffs were paused by President Donald Trump earlier this week, leading to some indices, especially the Nikkei, making some gains, investors are still worried about uncertainty. Now, the signs of what could become a trade war between US and China are all there, and analysts believe that this could result in more volatility in the coming days. As China navigates its own economic uncertainties under Trump 2.0, President Xi Jinping is embarking on a three-nations tour. He is reportedly visiting Malaysia, Vietnam and Cambodia. Analysts say Xi is hoping to bolster economic ties with these Southeast Asian nations and also to project China as a more reliable partner in the region than the US. But it remains to be seen how the Southeast Asian countries respond to what many are calling Xi's charm offensive. Experts say these smaller Asian economies would want to balance their ties with Beijing as well as with Washington, which means that it could be tough for President Xi to shore up support as he looks to guide the Chinese economy through one of its most turbulent times in recent years. Ishan Garg, SABC News, New Delhi.
Back home, analysts have pointed to an unfavorable outcome for fuel prices in May due to the current weakness in the rand. The risk-sensitive currency has been volatile this week, weighed by the trade war concerns and uncertainty surrounding the stability of the government of national unity.
According to unaudited mid-month fuel price data from the Central Energy Fund, both grades of petrol could decrease by between 9 and 13.5 cents a litre. Diesel prices look set for a larger reduction of between 34 and 36 cents per litre, with illuminating paraffin possibly lowered by 26 cents. Chief Investment Officer at Makwe Fund Managers, Makwe Masilela, says with Brent crude now at $63 per barrel and the rand flirting with almost 20 to the dollar, that might be a problem going forward.
We are a net importer, and as a net importer, if oil prices maybe go down by 2% as an example, but unfortunately say your rent weakens by 4 or 5%, then it's a zero-sum game. But now the most important thing is that you will need to see oil prices going down for all those good reasons, more production that will be coming through, but also you need a firmer rent because you are a net importer. Then that will make our lives much easier. And the numbers that they will be releasing or that they've just released now, it doesn't consider what happened with the rand in the past 2 days or so.
South African fuel prices are largely determined by the oil price and the rand exchange rate, as oil is priced in dollars. Nosipho Khatebe, SABC News, Johannesburg.
Time to see what the weather has in store for us. Over to you, Mpho Rasimpi.
Thank you very much and a very warm welcome to the Weather Desk. Let's take a look at those conditions over the country. Now, we do expect clear conditions over most of the western parts of the country, stretching towards the central interior. Isolated showers and thunder showers over the northwest, Limpopo, Mpumalanga, and also KwaZulu-Natal for tonight. For tomorrow, we start to see a bit of cloudy conditions over most of that western parts of the country. And also, we do expect a cold front to make landfall over Cape Town tomorrow during the day, causing a 30% chance of showers and rain as we move towards the coast for tomorrow. And also those isolated showers and thunder showers are still expected over the northern interior of the country. It is going to be a clear day as we move into that interior of the Eastern Cape. Temperature-wise for tonight, it is going to be a relatively cool night over most of the country, but it should be cold over Bethlehem, stretching into Bloemfontein, and also as we move into Calvinia and Sunderland, with Sunderland dropping down to 8. Polokwane, we're expecting a minimum of 14. Durban dropping down to 19. Maximum temperatures for tomorrow. Overall, it is going to be a warm day over South Africa. Some level of breeze coming in. That is why it will be cool over Bethlehem and Johannesburg with an average of 22. Musina will have a high of 28. Hot conditions as we move into that interior of Appleton with a high of 31. Remember, a cold front is expected over Cape Town for tomorrow. That is all expecting a high of 22. That 22 will feel like a 15, so it will be a bit chilly. So please, let's make sure that we dress warmly as we're going out. Looking at Sunday, we're expecting that cold front to rise in certain parts of the country, still causing 30% chance of showers and rain becoming scattered as we move into the interior of the Eastern Cape. It is going to be a cloudy day over most of the country for Sunday, but cloudy conditions also expected over Gauteng, Limpopo, and Mpumalanga. In terms of temperatures, it is going to be a warm day over those areas, but should be cool over the central parts of the country, stretching towards the south, especially as we move towards the Eastern Cape and Western Cape because of those cold fronts that are expected for tomorrow, stretching into Sunday. That's all the weather I have for you. Stay tuned.
That's all for tonight. We'll be back with you on Monday. Until next time, from me and the team, stay ahead.